Tales of Whatever. My name is Mark, and this is Lee. Are you struggling already? This is honestly not a bit.
Slick.
I promise you, it's not.
Slick.
What's the problem there, Lee?
It's what happens when you haven't been on stage for a year and a half. You forget how to take microphones out of stands, apparently.
Our first show in 15 months, right?
Yeah, I thought it was like muscle memory. Just microphones, no.
Thank you. Prior to that, believe it or not, from this very rough start, we have actually been doing, well, I've been doing this, I've been doing Tales of Whatever now since 2011.
This year's our 10-year anniversary.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know whether to celebrate that or to admit that we've had 15 months off and say it's basically next year, isn't it?
Yeah, it probably
but,
is. Probably is.
Can we just get a sort of a quick temperature of the room? Nothing to do with COVID or anything like that. Regarding Lee's shirt, I would just I'd like some feedback.
What's the feeling on the shirt?
He's
one woo. That sounded ironic. I mean,
I think I've got the sarcastic side down here.
Feedback in itself.
You guys are all very earnest and heart on the sleeve types.
Yeah, like I bought it in lockdown.
You can tell.
And I haven't had the guts to wear it in anger yet. And I thought on stage it's fine. It's like a costume, isn't it? I don't know. I'm just going to roll with it.
I think it's very strong. I think it's a strong look, and I think you specifically deserve a round of applause. Right now, thank you. You'll notice, however, that I didn't contribute, so I'm still on the fence.
I noticed that.
Do you guys, who here, and bear in mind I can see very little of you from up here, who has been to a Tales of Whatever show in any capacity ever before? I'm guessing, oh, there's one. Excellent, one. I'm reminded of the old joke, ringing up to complain about people harassing you, and they say, oh, not you again. No, it's what we do is basically we tell, well, we a bit, but mostly our guests tell true stories based on first-hand experiences from their lives. We work predominantly, but not exclusively, with comedians, and I think you're going to see some comedians tonight and some people who are not comedians. And they're all, well, obviously we're thrilled to be here as part of Migration Matters. We do our own monthly show in Sheffield. It's normally down at Shakespeare's. And we've been involved with Migration Matters. I think this is our 3rd year now, and it's always just a complete delight to come and talk to you guys and hear some stories from people whose experiences are probably very different to our own. That's really why we do Tales of Whatever anyway. The basic model is all the stories you're going to hear are, well, with the exception of Ignacio, who's coming to do the second half, a bit of a longer set. He is a professional comedian. He's going to do about 25 minutes, half an hour. He's driving over from Leeds now, where he is currently doing a gig. So let's just hope the traffic is good. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's brinksmanship, and we love it, don't we? But yeah, we've got 3 amazing storytellers for you before Ignacio gets here. Who are we starting with?
Zoe first.
Okay, right, great. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, they're all going to tell stories which are about 10 minutes long. They're based on a first-hand experience that they themselves have had. They might be funny, they might be not funny, they might be challenging, they might be not challenging, they might be just, delightful, whimsical, or anything in between any of those. That's a really complicated sentence. I wish I'd not started it. They could be about anything they want, basically, is the point. And we don't ask them what they're going to talk about. We are selfish, and we like to be in the audience for this show just as much as you. There will be an interval about halfway through, just a quick 10 minutes to get a drink. We'll come back from that, and we might, depending on how sort of surly and aggressive you people are looking at that point, ask a couple of you just a couple of short things just to see how you're doing. Talking to the audience is something we do enjoy, and you guys are just weird, and it's always fun. And the things you do are strange and confusing and amazing to hear about. So we might do a bit of that too, depending on the time. Do you want to give an example, Lee, of the sort of thing that might happen at a typical Tales of Whatever show by telling a short story?
Yes, Mark.
Excellent. That sounded almost rehearsed.
Almost rehearsed.
Given that we've had 15 months to figure out what we're going to do, we haven't done that, have we? So
no, we haven't.
I don't know what he's going to tell you about, but I'll get out of here. I'll leave Lee up here for a few minutes, and then he will bring on your first proper storyteller. What, in about 5?
Yeah. about that.
5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah. Right. I want to talk to you about Brighton. Has anyone been to Brighton or visited Brighton before? Yeah. Lovely. Really, really genuinely lovely place. Now, this is our first show back in Sheffield, but it's not our first show back after the events, as I've decided to call them. We had booked to about 3 years ago, it feels now, we'd booked to do Brighton Fringe. And Brighton Fringe was going ahead with an in-person festival, and we decided, actually, let's go down and sort of do that. And then on the night before that, Mark then had to isolate, which wasn't great, so I ended up having to go down by myself. But my wife, who is amazing, said that she'd come with me, and we booked a Airbnb. And I want to tell you about that Airbnb and what happened there. It's strictly PG, don't worry. So this Airbnb was, there were two things about it that immediately struck you. One, it was far bigger than it looked in the photos, which is always a nice thing. And it came with a cat, which is unusual, but it was it was one of the things that sold us on it, is that you had to look after the cat. And in the description, it sort of said he's a bit old and a bit grumpy, but he'll keep to himself. And all you need to do is feed him at night. He goes out all the time, so we didn't need to do litter or anything like that. But now we're cat owners, so it was like a selling point for us. So we turn up and went to this flat, and it's lovely, properly, if you'd imagine a stereotypical hipster Brighton flat, it was that. Because in the living room, in the window, was a Vespa scooter that was not there to be driven. I don't know how they got it up there, but it was a decorative piece, which is possibly one of the most hipster things I've ever seen in my life. So there was that there. And the cat sitting in the living room waiting for us, next to 2 delightful poos he just left for us on the mat, which is not a great start, but because we're cat owners and we get all gooey over cats, we were like, that's not good. So we sort of texted the owner and said, look, this has happened. We're just letting you know. Don't worry about it. These things happen. Just letting you know, because if that's not what he's normally like, there might be something wrong. So we cleared it up, and this cat, he's called Jack, is not grumpy. He is incredibly friendly and just trails about after us the whole time we're in the flat, and it's delightful. To the point where he even sits on my lap for a while. My cat won't sit on my lap, so this is great. Anyway, went out for dinner, and then went to, it's quite late, but went to sleep. Now, I don't know if anyone else feels like it. The first time I sleep somewhere where I'm not familiar, I'm always a little bit on edge, because it's a bit familiar. You're never quite as comfortable as you are when you're at home. So when we went to bed, and the bed, remember this, is slightly higher by about that much than my bed at home. Okay? So go to sleep. And then I'd say, it must have been about 2:30 in the morning, there's a massive, 2 massive knocks on the door to the bedroom, and then the door to the bedroom flips open and sort of hits the wardrobe behind it in a massive noise. Now, of course, at this point, I'm like, if it's an axe murderer, I'm just waking up. So I leap out of bed, but of course, my brain thinks I'm at home. So, of course, but the bed's slightly higher. So I turn off the bed, I miss the floor, go face plant into a wardrobe, bounce off the wardrobe, crumple to the floor, and then lean again, fall into the bedside table, hit the side of my head on that, and then I end up like this. Sort of dazed, if you can imagine like a cartoon with the sort of the birds sort of going around my head. And then I'm like, shit, is there someone in the house? Is everything all right? And then over the edge of the bed, meow. And Jack is sitting on the bed looking at me. Jack has hammered the door open at 2 o'clock in the morning just because he wanted to be in the room. So he's jumped up, he's on the side of the bed where I was sleeping. My wife Roz is sort of sleeping there. Jack will not move off the bed. He has decided that that's where he's sleeping. So I go and sleep on the couch in the living room, and essentially that was the sort of the highlight. Apart from doing the shows, obviously I was doing the shows at the time. But the thing is, looking back on it, I should have been angry. But genuinely, I woke up in the morning, went in, and the cat is all curled up next to my wife, and she's like, oh, "This never happens at home," because our cat's a grumpy bastard. And I went, oh, that's really cute. So there you go. I got essentially kicked out of my bed by a strange cat in Brighton. But there you go. That is a true story of personal experience that happened and is potentially indicative of the type of story that you may hear tonight, but not exclusively. So thank you very much. Oh, literally exactly 6 minutes. Yes, haven't lost it. So we're going to welcome to the stage our first storyteller. It's Zoe Farrugia. Zoe is an actor, director, theatre maker. She's absolutely amazing. I first met Zoe when she was performing in Songs from the Seven Hills at the Crucible. She's also got a show here at the weekend, which I'm sure she'll tell you about. So I'm going to treat you all like adults and assume you know how to applaud. We're not going to practice like you often get at some sort of some comedy nights. They insult you by saying, "Oh, round of applause. Oh, that's not loud enough. Try it again." Okay, so I'm going to trust that you know how to applaud and welcome a guest to the stage. Are we? Am I right on that? Yeah. Okay. So welcome to the stage, the amazing Zoe Farrugia.
Hello. Thank you, Tom. Tech Tom. We love Tech Tom. I don't know how to do wires. Great. I feel like Lee really bigged me up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lee. That was a really funny story. I love cats too. That's great. So as he already said, hello everyone. My name is Zoe Alba Farrugia. I want to put my middle name to sound fancy because I feel like Zoe is very boring. It's a Migration Matters festival. I feel like it's too plain. So Zoe Alba Farrugia. That is me. As you can tell from the context of the festival and my accent, I am not from here. I am from a beautiful little island called Malta in the middle of the Mediterranean. And I moved to Sheffield nearly 6 years ago, and I sadly leave Sheffield in 2 months to move to Edinburgh, which is both sad and... thank you very much. I do love Edinburgh. I'm very excited. Was also very sad. Sheffield has been really lovely to me, and I'm really grateful to have gotten to experience the city for so long. So my story is a bit of a mixed bag. So let's start with getting some pieces out, I guess. So it starts off 3 years ago, in 2018. My best friend and I, who was actually in the audience, hello Chantal McCullough-McGraw, I love you. She was at my house and we were talking about our frustration. So I was in Songs for the Seven Hills, which was a piece at the Crucible, and unfortunately they had refugee stories in there that were portrayed by white English actors, and that really made me so angry because I was like, there are actors that can represent people much better than white British people, no offense. Usually white British people are not the refugees who come here. So, and she was in a play in the Peak District where, sorry, I'm telling your story, where she was portraying very different characters, and one of them, they made her portray an Indian person, and she was very uncomfortable with that as well, because she is Maltese. So we were going over all this sort of frustration and saying, basically, you know, if we want to see stories represented properly, we have to do it ourselves. So we started talking, and I said, I want to start TCOM. This was me like in my living room, really mad on the floor, like, we have to do it. And she was crazy enough to say yes to joining this adventure. And we formed Prickly Pear Productions. Prickly Pear, thanks, Sam. Prickly Pear is our national sort of fruit. It's like a thing that grows on cactus, because Malta is very hot. So that's like our little ode to our home. And yeah, it's been an adventure, it's been a ride. We have sort of debuted a few shows, but our biggest one was here at Migration Matters Festival. So thank you to the festival for trusting us in 2019? 2019, yeah, thank you. 2019, it was called Immigration Crisis, the Musical. And it is a story about 5 women who come together in a household and are from different places, different ethnicities, beautiful stories, and it tackles things like microaggressions and politics and all that jazz. So you can imagine how great that was to sort of be here in 2019 and do that. Obviously, last year happened. We're going to park that. We don't need to go into that. And we were meant to perform in London, and we were meant to perform in other different places. So that obviously got put on hold. And we were lucky enough that the theatres who did want us last year wanted us back this year. So we applied for funding, and we got it. Woo! Money, which doesn't happen in theatre. A bit of money, but still, it happened. And we were so excited, and we planned, and everything was so going. Sort of, I mean, whoever is in theatre here knows that things can only go so much to plan. And it was a month away, and I was so excited. And we were in Zoom meetings all the time, and we were sort of planning. And we had all our actors, and we had all our rehearsals, and all our producer hat, and our actor hat, and all the hats were on. And I got a phone call from my mother about 3 weeks before the show. And the phone call was, your uncle's not doing well. He's in hospital, and we don't know what's happening. Some context to that, my uncle had been sick for a while, and he was diagnosed with cancer just before the pandemic. And so that was like, whoa, okay. But it's only been a year and a bit, so they were like, no, he'll have time. He has time. And you know how it is with these things. I'm not going to get into depth with it, but you never know how much time you have. So my uncle was in hospital, and then a week later, as he was sort of like steadying out and being okay, and I was like, okay, I can't come home, pandemic, I can't come home, show, my mom calls again, and she's like, okay, your nan is in the hospital, she's a ward away from your uncle, and that's happening. So I was like, whoa, okay. And some context to that is that, unfortunately, my nan suffered from dementia for 18 years. So that's a long time. And she was in and out of hospital a lot with pneumonia and a chest infection, and she needs this and she needs that. And she always recovered. For 18 years, we were always like, it's time to go. No, it's not time to go. Malta is a very Catholic country as well, so we have something called Grisma, which is like the last rites in English. And she had that about, we counted about 75 times. So there were about 75 instances in the past 10 years where we thought, the priest came and was like, goodbye. So I just thought, okay, Nan's in hospital, it's fine. She's done this before, guys, she's done this before, we're good. She's gonna be fine. Unfortunately, my uncle didn't get any better. And about a week before our show, or a week and a half before our show, he passed away. And I don't know how to say that without crying, so I'm gonna just keep plowing on. He was someone that was very beloved by his community. He was someone who cared a lot about the church and cared a lot about sort of people. So it was a heartbreak for a whole lot of people. And his funeral was the day I arrived in London for our show. And I got to watch it on a live stream, which is as horrible as it sounds. But I was there, and I had my friends, and I could see my family in the pews. And it was a surreal experience. But I still felt at peace with what was happening, even though obviously I would have rather have been there. And then, you know, it was an amazing send-off. They had fireworks. Like, it's crazy. Like, you don't think that of a funeral. But they took his casket out, and there was the whole village there. So the Maltese Islands, I can show you. I have a tattoo of it now. This is tiny Malta, and this tiny Gozo. It's even smaller than Malta. So our population is 400,000. So you can imagine how small we are. And Gozo is about 6,000, 7,000, like real tiny. So there was a lot of people there, obviously. Avoiding restrictions, that was naughty, but there were a lot of people there, and a lot of people sort of sent him off, which was amazing to see. A few days later, my nan was still not great. We were deep in rehearsals, and I was like, no, she's plowed through so many times. This is not the time she leaves us. This is not the time. And unfortunately, my aunt decided, I mean, this woman hasn't spoken any words in like 9 years. My aunt decided to say, Mom, your son is gone. Like, he's left, he's gone. And that afternoon, she passed away. So it was like 18 years worth of waiting for her to go. And her son, she was favorite. She had 4 kids, and he was her favorite because she always wanted a boy, and she got 3 girls and then a boy. So she loved him so. I mean, she loved us all, but she loved him so much. And he went to visit her morning and evening, morning and evening. And it was a moment where I just feel like she waited. She waited for him to go, which is not obviously it's a weird thing to say. But after 18 years of suffering, it's like it's that day that she finds out that her favorite son, her favorite child, has left and is no longer going to visit her, is no longer going to be there to hold her hand. And even, I like to think, even though she didn't remember us anymore, even though she couldn't really speak to us or walk or eat, that she knew that that was her time, that she could go. So we're in a rehearsal. I'm in Pret. I'm just like trying to buy my lunch. And I get that phone call. And again, just a surreal experience of being like, I can't come home. My career banks on this. Like, we have worked so hard for the show for 3 years. We have fought tooth and nail to get funding and people to come see us and all that. But also my family are my life, but also it's a pandemic, but also this and that. And at the end of the day, I had to sit beside our tech desk and have our nice tech man on one side and my nan's funeral on the other. And I haven't processed any of this yet. And I'm processing by telling a room of strangers, which is so healthy. Because as soon as we finish that show, we've come and we have a show tomorrow here. So yeah, it's been a crazy month. It's been a crazy time for everyone. We've all lost people that we love, or we know of people who've lost people that we love, and all that jazz. And I don't know, I think my story tonight, I just wanted to focus on this because it's so hard for us to get like caught up now as we sort of emerge from this crisis, caught up in, you're not wearing a mask, I'm wearing a mask, I want to wear a mask, you shouldn't, and who won the flipping Euros? Forza Italia, sorry, I am Italian. I was very scared to come on here and admit it, but I feel like I'm in a safe space, so that's fine. And also the director of the festival is like Italian descent, so I feel like it's a safer space because I'm like, if anyone does anything, he can protect me. So yeah, we get caught up in all this rubbish, these stupid things that just don't matter. Because we're coming out and we don't know how to socialize anymore, we don't know how to do small talk, or we don't know how to be with each other anymore. And I don't know, this is just me trying to sort of say none of it matters. As long as we just treat each other with respect and, you know, tell your parents you love them, then yeah, I guess that's the moral of my story. Love your family, even if they suck. Because most of them do. Most of them do. Yeah. But even if they do, show them some love. And yeah, that's me. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Thank you. Okay. I'm awkwardly going to walk away now. Okay, thank you very much.
One more for Zoe Farrugia, please. Thank you. Forgot to take my mask off to some extent there, but it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that was lovely. It's always fascinating. I love hearing about celebrations of birth, marriages, and deaths from other countries and other cultures. In particular, those three things, because it just consistently, I think other countries seem to have a much better approach to it than we do over here in the UK. So always a fascinating topic for me. And what I also loved about that show, oh, I'm being waved at. Oh, heck yes, absolutely. I'll park that thought. Here's one more for Zoe, please. There you go.
I just got off stage and Lee was like, you didn't tell them about your show. And I was like, I didn't. It felt like an awkward place to plug a show. So yes, Prickly Pear Productions is on tomorrow night at 7:30. We have a show called Bahar, which is about the sea, because Bahar is the Maltese and Arabic word for sea. And it's all about people's relationships with the sea and all about sort of our positive and also very negative connotations with it. And it's all told through shadow puppetry and original composition of music. So if you want to come, feel free. Thank you very much.
That sounds fantastic. What time?
7:30.
7:30 tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Zoe, everybody. Yes, and what I was just thinking, specifically with regards to Zoe's story as well. It's one of the really beautiful and always thrilling and surprising things about doing Tales of Whatever as a show, and having done it for 10 years, this feeling never goes away. You'd be amazed how many times people end up saying, "I'm working through this by talking to you, a room full of strangers." I haven't really discussed this with anybody before, and somehow this becomes kind of a cathartic exercise. And again, like I said, not all the stories we get here are funny. Many of them are not. We work with a lot of comedians who choose to come and not be funny, which is quite confusing to a lot of the comedy audiences that we get in. But I think when you hear something beautiful like what Zoe was talking about there, it kind of, for me, it really starts to make sense. So I hope it does to you guys too. I must apologize, complete change of topic here. I apologize for my shorts and specifically for my legs. I just realized, I thought, well, I'll bring like a sort of summer vibe. It's like the first day of summer today, isn't it? It feels like the beginning of summer, like the beginning of things happening and being warm and breezy. And I thought, oh no, I'll wear shorts and try and capture that vibe. And it occurs to me, I haven't really looked at my own body in lockdown at all. I probably haven't looked at it for about 9 years, actually, because why would you once you're over the age of 30? You're not going to find anything good. And I put shorts on and got in the car and realized I'm covered in dents and scratches and scrapes. And I haven't been outside, so I don't know how that's happened. And then when Lee was talking, I remembered that, oh yes, I'm not trying to turn this into the cat show, but I also got 2 kittens during lockdown. And these were, at the time, 9-week-old feral rescue cats that had been found quivering in someone's garden. And they acted like it for about the first 3 months, and they would just climb me like a tree anytime I went to the bathroom in the night. And they're still game for a bit of rough and tumble, so yeah, I probably shouldn't, just inspect yourself before you go anywhere and wear shorts, especially if you're going on stage. I think that's just good advice generally. We're going to move on to the second of our pre-booked storytellers. It's going to be Yvonne Battle-Felton, who I will bring up in just a moment. I think it's probably best and fairest if I leave people to do their own introductions in terms of backstory. All I'm going to do is try and generate a bit of a vibe. We've known Yvonne sort of in passing for a while. She's been heavily involved with a night that's not dissimilar to this one, a kind of creative non-fiction thing that takes place or took place over Lancaster Way. And she may or may not choose to tell you about that. I don't know what Yvonne is going to talk about. All I can do is say if you begin a slow rumble of appreciation for Yvonne Battle-Felton and then build it gradually, and as it crescendos, I will get her up on this stage, on this very ramp. So if you start now, it's Yvonne Battle-Felton, please. Get very excited. Here comes Yvonne. Here's Yvonne. She's in the building. It's happening. It's really happening. And we're going to be using this mic, Yvonne. Sorry, we have a very complex mic rotation system, just because we do, because we can. It shouldn't fall. Would you like to hold that one for 1 second?
Sure.
Thank you. It's too complex, if anything. We've overcomplicated things. There you go.
Thank you.
Yvonne Battle-Felton, yay!
So good evening. I have to say first, whenever I get in front of a microphone, I feel like I should sing. And I'm one of those people who can't really sing. So if I do start humming, it's completely accidental, and it's because I can't help myself. But, so I will do my own introduction. I'm clearly not from Sheffield. I've been here for about 2 years now, though. I moved here from Lancaster. I moved my family from Maryland because I wanted to be Dr. Yvonne Battle-Felton, and I wanted a creative writing PhD. So I felt like everything kind of fell into place, one, when I was accepted at Lancaster, and when they said, you can apply for a bursary. And I applied for the bursary, and I got it, and I felt like everything had just fallen into place to lead me to Lancaster. Thank you. But then everything fell into place to lead me to Sheffield. After I finished my PhD, I applied for a job, and so now I teach creative writing at Sheffield Hallam University. Thank you. I also write, and I feel like if, so maybe when I get off the stage, I will put on my mask, which features my book, because it makes me happy. Like, people were saying, like, why would you get your book? And my son, it drives him crazy, which is probably another reason I did it. So it's like half my face and half my US book cover. I go out, and I am just, like, smiling. I am so happy. And my son is like, people don't do that. Like, you don't, like, get your face on your face. And I'm like, clearly people do, because I did it. And then I have these other ones that are my UK book cover. So it kind of depends on what I'm wearing, my mood, where I'm going. I absolutely love it. And again, there's that bonus of seeing my 16-year-old be like, oh, every time. And so because that wasn't enough, I now have little blankets with my book covers, and one with my book cover and my face behind, like, on my headboard, because otherwise when I'm doing, like, Zoom meetings, I feel like it's a little too, like, come into my bedroom. So instead of that, it's my book. And then people are like, is that self-promotion? And I'm like, yeah. So since I've been in the UK, I've been writing a lot about home and family. And for me, it's because I've been searching for home, and I think just defining and redefining family. So I thought I would read 2 short pieces that condensed our 10 minutes, if I read them really quickly. And I'm so impressed with people who can read things just off the top of their head, because I've never been that person who can just read things off the top of my head. I keep saying I was meant to be an actor, but then you know how, like, you're supposed to memorize stuff? And apparently it's kind of bad if you come out and you're like, this is the script and you're reading it, so But amongst friends, I am going to be reading mine. So, setting the scene, Sheffield 2020. I adjust my mask for the 3rd or so time, tuck the loops snug around my ears, wipe the moisture, then the fingertip streaks from my glasses. Take a deep breath and open the door. The fresh air, unexpected and crisp, greets me like a holiday, a welcome present underneath a tree. I take a step, lock the door, breathe. The sidewalk is scattered with pressed leaves crushed beneath footsteps, mine and theirs, whoever they are, whenever they left. I picture them, smiling, grinning, masks dangling around their chins like jeans limp from waists, crushing leaves on purpose, intentionally stepping left when right will do, to crush a leaf like a dream beneath booted foot. My footsteps sound like ballet. Shuffle, ball step, swish, sachet, kickball change, or like a race. I've never been in a marathon, but I imagine, thanks to a week or two of cross-country training decades ago, that it sounds a lot like feet panting and the occasional gasp for air. According to Google Maps, the post office is about 20 minutes away. I'm not in a rush. Have no appointments before or after it. There is nowhere else I have to be. Still, less than 5 minutes away, and I'm nearly there. Breathe. Slow down. For a few minutes, it's just me and my own air, warming me. I imagine it's a bit like a rainforest. My face in some sort of sauna with me-supplied mist. Stop. Relax. If I don't remind myself, soothe my soul from time to time, I will break out into a run, dash from door to door before I'm missed or quick enough to convince myself I haven't really even left. There's something about the naked mouth, the seeing of fleshy or thin lips and wide or stingy grins that lately in public unsettles me. I can't quite shake it. As soon as I leave the house, the space from here to wherever there is shortens. I recognize it, the breathing. When I'm halfway there, legs tense, lungs bursting, lightly covered in sweat, something short of running. If I date during COVID, what base is taking off masks? I find that asking myself questions settles me. It distracts me from news about infections and R rates, lockdowns and restrictions, deaths and endings. Breathe. Since lockdown 1, I haven't left the house much for something that wasn't shopping related. While I'm technically walking to the post office, I'm enjoying it, lingering, multitasking, remembering to relax. To remind myself to enjoy it, I slip my phone out of my purse, point, and take a picture. I imagine people whizzing by wondering if I'm a tourist. Point, click. Point, click. Where do they think I'm from? What would they imagine would entice me to a busy road somewhere between the city, point, and the Peak District, click? I picture them slowing down, point, necks craning to see what I see beneath trees here, click, and there, click, over there, click, 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 and oh my gosh, right there, over the bridge, in the embankment, click. What does she see? Point. What does she know? Click. The possibilities slow my steps, fill my lungs, my head, my heart. I take another picture, digitally reframing, retracing my steps. I may not have the answers, but for now, the questions lead me home. And then I'm going to read one more piece. Thank you. So this one is called, Is This Seat Taken? My time in England has given me the opportunity to become more reflective. Back home, I drove everywhere. Whether I was taking the kids to school, going food shopping, going on a relaxing car ride across town or across the country, I drove. I never planned to bring Gabby, my car, to the UK. I mean, driving on the on the other side of the road. Small streets, parking on the sidewalk. England was no place for a dual-engine V8 gas-guzzling, wide-bodied, family-sized car. I was looking forward to not paying for petrol, especially because it wasn't measured in gallons and it wasn't called, well, gas. Back home, I enjoyed an illusion of freedom. I could slip in my car and go where I wanted to, when I wanted to. And when there weren't traffic jams, speed limits, construction, other drivers, I could go as fast as I wanted to. I saw life as a driver, as a person in charge of her own destiny might. Nothing stood in my way. Well, nothing I couldn't go around, go through, or run over. Where was I rushing to? Sometimes nowhere. But now I'm in England. It's one of my first train rides here. Well, the first one not canceled due to an accident on the line. And I'm heading from Manchester to Lancaster. I had timed it perfectly. But now, because I had first hopped on the train that was standing on the platform at the same time that my train, the one heading to Lancaster, was supposed to be there, I'm running right on time. I have to pick up my son by 3:05. My phone is dead. I know because I checked it 5 minutes ago. It was dead then, too. The train stops at what seems to be every station, but it's okay. I can jump in a taxi when I get to Lancaster and get to Gallgate before the bell rings. We've pulled into Preston. Only a few more stops to go, but we haven't yet pulled out of Preston. There's an announcement. Now, my English being what it is, I sometimes misunderstand words, but did he just say there are cows on the line? He did. I gather my things. I'll take a taxi. But it's expensive from here, the conductor says. About 50 pounds. Surely the school will wait. Now, I don't know how things work here, but 3:05 is 3:05. Can you not just call the school? He says. My phone is dead. I'm sure it'll be fine. Now, he says this like someone with a whole lot of assurance, but not a whole lot of experience. They're sure to move off the line soon. I'm not gonna lie. I thought if someone got off the train with a fork and some steak sauce, they might get off the line faster. I didn't recommend it. I get off the train, take a taxi, and make it to my son's school on time. It was to be my initiation to life as a passenger. Since that trip years ago, I've seen a lot of things. I've learned that buses don't always come on time. Bus drivers get lost too. Sometimes other passengers, they really are weird. Buses break down. So now, I'm on the bus from town to campus. I'm sitting upstairs, stretching my legs out. I now have favorite seats on the bus. Downstairs, it's crowded. Piles of people got on the stop after I got on. So I'm nestled in one of my favorite seats, beep, when the bus stops. No one seems to get on or off, beep, and we're already at the next stop. Stopping again, beep. The bus has just pulled off, beep, and the buzzer is already ringing, beep. Kids, I think. Was I ever that young? I mean, I was, but by the time I was old enough to ride jitneys by myself or with friends, beep, I was too old to find such things amusing. Beep. So I'm sitting here, beep, legs stretched out, thinking how this bus is a little bit like, beep, my life. I knew where I was going when I got on, but beep, I have no idea when I'm going to get there. Beep, and no control over the type of journey I have. Beep, and I'm okay with that. Beep, because I can get off at any time I choose. Beep, I can take a taxi, wait for another bus, walk. Those would be inconveniences and take longer and cost more money. Beep, but I'm in the end. I'll get where I'm going. And I'm thinking of how I didn't expect to end up here. Beep, on a bus in a city that feels like a town. Beep, but life is like that, isn't it? Beep, there are many ways to get to the end. Make the most of the journey. I'm going to just keep beep, stopping at every stop. Beep, the bus driver is yelling. And that amuses me because isn't that the point? True to his threat, the bus driver, who knows that no one is going to get off, stops at every beep and stop. Until he stops in between stops. Beep, it's you. You're lying on the beep and bell, he accuses. Sorry, someone mumbles from below. It's quiet, and sooner or later, we make it home. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Yvonne's book, Remembered, is really good. And it has a mask advertisement, which is excellent. We will provide links on our Twitter, which is @Tales or Whatever, to Yvonne's book and to everyone you're going to see tonight, so you can follow them. I always enjoy listening to Yvonne read. Yvonne, if you haven't recorded your own version of the audio version of your book, you should. Okay, we're going to take a short break now, and then in the second half, we're going to return with stories from Livia and our headline set from Ignacio. So do take about 9 minutes. I think we can do 9 minutes. 9 minutes, grab yourself a drink, nip to the bathroom if you need to. If you don't need to, don't bother. And we will see you here in about 9 minutes, 8.5 minutes time. Brilliant. Thank you. Big round of applause to everyone who's seen the first half, Zoe and Yvonne. And we'll see you soon. In the second half, you've got some volume. I can see people, but they're not moving. Oh, there we go. Lovely stuff. Are you not on?
No, I'm not. Tom, could I get some? There we go. Perfect. Thank you very much, mate. Anybody in the bar needs to drift on back through? I could have. It would have been so much more practical to do this not from the stage, wouldn't it?
Probably politer
I could
as well.
walk over there and.
Yeah.
No, we love a challenge.
Wonderful. Well, welcome back. I think we seem to have lost. We've lost some people. But what I did want to say before we go any further is we really appreciate that you chose to come and see this show tonight. It's a weird time. People's feeling a little uncomfortable about being out in public, and we are really grateful that you chose to come and see this show tonight. You know, you're our kind of people. You're the best kind of people. So thank you so much for that. So in this half, we have two amazing people for you. Mark?
We do. We have...
in a non-rehearsed way, would you like to tell us about them?
Very unrehearsed way, yeah. We have Livia Barrera, who is someone else who's also involved directly in Migration Matters Festival, so we figured it was a great opportunity to get her on stage and allow her. That sounds very grand, doesn't it? Have the huge honour of her coming and telling us a little bit about herself and about the show that she's going to be doing as part of Migration Matters in a couple of days. I'll leave that up to Livia. Don't want to no spoilers from us, but yes, Livia's a new friend to us, someone we've just met directly through doing this. Again, one of the many reasons we love doing this and things like this is that we just get to add more people to the lovely, increasingly lovely Tales of Whatever giant ring binder of top dudes. That's basically what we thrive on. So, yep, that will be happening in about 1 minute, following which there will be a longer set from the wonderful comedian, very unrehearsed, go.
Ignacio Lopez.
Yay, there you go. And that's going to be fantastic too. Ignacio has just arrived from Leeds, where he was doing another show. So anyone who says those comedians don't work hard, he's in there. I was going to say he's in there all kind of sweating, and he's not. He looks fantastic. So it's
really
bloody annoying is what it is.
Yeah.
Really, really annoying. He looks far better than any of us, and it kind of makes you sick. So that will be happening in a little while. But first, we're going to introduce our wonderful new friend, Livia Barrera, whose story doesn't begin by any means in Sheffield, but she's very, very much part of Sheffield now, and I'm sure that's what she might like to tell you about. So huge round of applause. Welcome, second half, big energy. Let's go. Livia Barrera, please. Thank you.
Get your beer, otherwise I'll drink a beer by mistake. So, hi, good evening, everyone. So, as he said, I'm called Livia Barrera. So, I'm a journalist from Brazil. I have been living in Sheffield for 5 years now, and a little bit. And so, maybe people know me because I'm the face behind the Instagram profile called Living in Sheffield. But actually, maybe people will think I'm very techy, but I have notes in paper. Yeah, I'm from the 80s, so I'm a little bit old. So, sorry for my English. English is not my first language. I'll try my best. My first language is Portuguese. As he said, I'm one of the persons organizing an event this Saturday here in the same venue to promote the Lusophone community in Sheffield that is called Who is the Lusophone Community in Sheffield? So Lusophone means all those countries where you can speak Portuguese as a first language, like Brazil, where I'm from, Portugal, Angola, Mozambique, and a few countries in Africa as well. So we are having a market, we are having a Brazilian samba band here on the stage. So it'll be quite fun. We already sold out, I think in less than a week. we sold out when we got the tickets. But maybe on Saturday, we are having walk-ins. It depends of the available on the space, of course, sun. Yeah. So if you don't have tickets, and if you want to try, maybe you can wait a little bit outside, and maybe at some point it will be possible to come inside. So I would like to start to talk about a little bit about myself. I'm a journalist, as I said, and I think communication is something really strong as part of my ID. So when I arrived in Sheffield about 5 years ago, my English was not good like this. I couldn't stand here on a stage and talk to an audience because I didn't feel confident. I was feeling like a fraud, actually. I was feeling I was never going to work with communication anymore in my life, but I didn't give up. I studied English as much as I could. I went to classes in a lot of places in Sheffield. Everywhere, basically everywhere, I could see, oh, it's a free English class in that charity. Oh, I'm going there. Tuesdays in this place, Wednesday in this one. Fridays, I'm going to that conversation club. Okay, so I filled my diary with all these free English classes when I just arrived. And then I took an advanced course at the University of Sheffield. And then I started to be a volunteer for many organizations all across Sheffield. And the last one, I stayed for 1 year. I was a volunteer at VAS, Volunteer Action Sheffield, doing their communications. So I start off again, working with communication. But I think the turning point was in 2018, when I decided to create my own project. So I just started as a joke. I started this Instagram profile to share with people about my own experiences across Sheffield, because I could see some friends from Brazil asking me about places. Where should I go with my friends for the weekend? You know everything, Livia, but I was feeling, really? Do you think, can I do this? So yeah, just start. It will be good for you to improve your English. But it was more than just improving my English. I just think now, looking back, I could see a lot of other migrants, not just Brazilians, a lot of students, a lot of other people who moved to Sheffield with their families. They struggled to find places to go. And I'm like them. I'm another foreigner living here, exploring the city a lot. My husband is from Sheffield, so he is supposed to know Sheffield, but he doesn't know Sheffield, actually. Here's that guy who is filming there. So he's my assistant today. He has been living in Sheffield today. I passed the thing to him. So yeah, I couldn't give up. So I started this Instagram profile to promote small businesses. And I just remember when I just started, I found like people didn't trust me too much because of my accent, because I'm not from here. But now it's completely different. After 3 years doing this, a lot of places I'll go in Sheffield, like small cafes or restaurants, people invite me to go to their events. It's like I'm the only foreigner, the only migrant. Yeah, I proudly wear this label. I proudly wear this label. This shirt was made from a friend of mine. She is another migrant. She lives in London. She's from Brazil, like me. That bag as well was made from another woman who is a migrant in the UK. These earrings is another one. This necklace as well. So I'm with all of these women tonight in this stage. They are empowering me to do this because I think without them I couldn't. And sorry, guys. So about my audience, I live in Sheffield. I have a quite different audience. I have from students, I have to families who are not from the UK, but I also have people born and bred in Sheffield, and they are like exploring more the city now. When I go to a walk in the Peak District, I know the Peak District very well, so I love it. And they just go for the same walk. Oh, where should I park my car? And I give the postcode. I put everything, all the information on my Instagram when I go to the places. But my thing is, I don't post, it's not just about posting random things on my Instagram. I have a quite line there. For me, the priority is for small businesses, especially if they are owned by another woman, or to promote migrant projects as well, and also to promote like free events across Sheffield, these kinds of stuff. I don't accept posh invitations for, oh, we are launching this new shop in Middlehall, very posh. I'm not going, sorry guys, it's not my thing. I think you didn't check my profile yet. I think you just invited. But yeah, I have this kind of line. I'm a journalist. I used to work in Brazil before I moved to the UK. In such big roles in Brazil. I was a business reporter for one of the top 10 newspapers in Brazil. I was sub-editor at the end of my time there after 5 years. Then I worked with the local government. I was coordinating the FIFA Fan Fest on the beach in Brazil, in my hometown, Fortaleza. I was coordinating the international press there on the beach. And I also coordinate like a huge event on the beach we have every year there. That is the New Year's Eve. So it's like 1 million people on the beach. My husband already went to this event, but I was not working that year when he went. So I used to have big things, but in Portuguese. I didn't know it could take like 5 years to feel on the like how I am now, you know. I'm feeling prepared now, but I wasn't before. I really struggled. But the truth is, we don't arrive ready. We need to keep going. We need to be resilient, never give up. And something I would like to say is, sorry guys. Something I would like to say is, if you put everyone together, you know, I don't like this kind of thing. Oh, it's just for me. It's just, no, I truly believe in the power of people together, because we can make such a big thing. The Lusophone community in Sheffield, for example, is an example I can give to you. We never had an event like this. Everyone together, these people from Brazil, from Portugal, from Angola, they don't know each other. They actually don't know each other in Sheffield. They have been living here for years and years, but they never met, probably. But now it's the time for them to network with each other. They know the small business we have in this community, but it's also for rich people and people from all the backgrounds to see we are here, we are not invisible. We exist in Sheffield. It's a quite dispersed communities. We have these quite dispersed communities, but we are together this Saturday, and I'm quite happy because of this. And something I would like to say is, it doesn't matter where we come from. As a migrant woman who doesn't speak English as my first language, something I have been learning is that it is not just about having a perfect level of English. Actually, it is much more about having good ideas and projects that can make a difference in some way to other people's lives. Believe in your path, in your capacity, and go for it. Thank you, guys.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. And that's why we run a true storytelling show, so people can come and share from the heart like that. It was beautiful. So I'm, with literally no further ado, we're going to welcome to the stage our fantastic headliner tonight. Welcome to the stage, the brilliant Ignacio Lopez.
Excellent stuff. Okay, yeah, this is very strange for me because I'm a stand-up comedian and I'm not used to sincerity. All right, so when people are saying good things, you know, about the community, I'm like, I'm not happy about this. All right, I want to just come up. It's in my instinct to walk up and just call the town a shithole. Right, that is the first. That's the first thing I want to say. All right, I'm like, I've been to Sheffield before. Come on now, why are you saying nice things about it? But the truth is, the best things grow out of shit places, right? That's a fact. That's an absolute fact. When I was told about this, it sounds like an incredible event, and I wish I'd been here to see all of it. Obrigado to Olivia for a wonderful speech there about what can bring communities together. But like I said, I'm a stand-up comedian. I don't know what I'm going to tell you right now, other than just I'm going to be autobiographical. I'm going to tell you about my very mixed upbringing. I'm basically... I'll break it down for you very quickly before I go into stories about my family and myself and where I've come from. But my mother is half Welsh and half Irish, and my father is half Spanish, half Moroccan. All right, so it's a very mixed up family. We get together for like dinners. It's like a meeting of the UN. All right, it's very complicated. You know, we need translators for Christmas dinner, and we're all eating Christmas dinner on different days because we celebrate it. It's a logistical nightmare, is what I'm trying to say. But it's complicated. So I've got all of these families, you know, and each and every one of those family members to come together. In order for my mother to be born, there had to be an immigrant who came over to Wales, my grandfather, and met my grandmother. In order for my father to exist, he was born in Morocco, and he emigrated to Mallorca, right? So I wouldn't exist if my mother hadn't been able to then travel from Wales to go work in Spain, meet my father, and I wouldn't be here with you now if I hadn't snuck on a plane at some point in my life, all right? That is effectively how things work out. My family is like immigrant inception, all right? Everyone in my family is in one way, shape, or form an immigrant. But I'm very fortunate because I've shared in a lot of different cultures my whole life. I grew up in Mallorca, and if any of you don't know this, Mallorca is effectively another British colony, all right? Lots of British people go out to Mallorca. It's a beautiful part of the world to grow up in, but it's very strange. I would explain to my Welsh friends, I would say, I grew up in Mallorca, and they'd be like, oh my God, Ignacio, you grew up on holiday. They don't understand Mallorca is not just like an all-inclusive resort, all right? It's a place we raise families, okay? We work there, we live there, we learn things. It's a beautiful place to live, but it's very strange growing up in Mallorca. As a kid, I'd be there, and no matter what time of year it was, no matter what time of day, whichever part of Mallorca I was in as a child, two British people would always pop up and say, 2 grande beers, please, all right? Everywhere I was, they would come over to me, and I'd be very confused. I'd be like, sir, why are you miming the one word you've translated into my language, all right? I don't understand. I know grande is big, right? We got that, you know, we know this. Why you mime? They don't mime other things. You don't go up to the bar, hey, man, could I have 2 cocktails, please, all right? You don't. Why are you doing this, okay? It's very complicated. I have to explain to them, senor, this is a primary school. I don't learn how to pour a pint until secondary school, all right? You're going to need to come back. My father always works bar industries. I'm going to tell you a bit about my parents and what they went through, and it'll tell you a bit about how I ended up as a stand-up comedian. Why do I do this? Why am I comfortable talking to strangers? All right, because my father always worked bars and restaurants. That's what he always did. Now, he grew up speaking French as his first language because he grew up in Meknes, which is a French-speaking part of Morocco, and then he moved to Mallorca. He had to learn Spanish as a teenager, right, in order to be able to speak it. And my Spanish grandmother, she speaks this strange mix of Spanish and French, right? It's like broken in both languages. You know, she can't quite make it. But communication isn't necessarily about words, all right? In Spain, we gesticulate, okay? This is how we talk about things. And communication is beyond language, all right? It's about understanding. My father then moved to Germany. He moved to Germany in order to learn how to speak English, all right? He went to Berlin and he learned, I know, why you go to Germany, right? But they had a very good English school there, right, where they taught Spanish people, because British people, like, we're not teaching Spanish people in the UK, right? You go somewhere else. So he went to Berlin, and that's where he learned English in order to be able to talk it and speak it with other people. And he's a big fan of languages. Like, my father learns languages. He's very proud of it. He collects them like scout medals or something, you know? He like collects them like these badges. He's got like, I got that language, I got this language. My mother, in retrospect, she comes from a very different background. My grandmother grew up on a farm, all right? So communication is not key when you're mainly dealing with animals, all right? They don't understand words, all right? You have to point, you have to push them in directions, you have to do things this way. And my Irish grandfather had come over from Ireland with his 5 brothers. And the thing they typically do, like Irish, like I realize as well, look, I've got an Irish grandfather. I know everyone's got an Irish grandfather, by the way. I know that because Ireland's biggest export is grandfathers, all right? I totally understand. We've all seen Americans claiming to be Irish, all right? The reason is because they've all got Irish grandparents. I understand this, all right? I know that. I know I'm not special in that respect, but I've got this Irish grandfather, and he went to Wales. Well, actually, first of all, he went to Stoke-on-Trent, but I don't know that place very well. But then he went, eventually ended up in Wales, and him and his brothers, they just took up any job that was missing in the town. They moved to Pontardawe, where my mother is from, a little town in Wales I don't expect any of you to hear of. Anybody know Pontardawe? Oh, Neely, you were messing with me there. You were totally fucking with me. I was like, holy shit, somebody's here at Pontardawe. No, he's just taking the piss. All right, excellent stuff. So, so I think it's, like I said, it's really important to learn languages. We want our best to fit in as well. Like Olivia was saying, like, I'm very fortunate that I grew up in Mallorca where English is spoken quite commonly because so many British people come around. My mother obviously is Welsh. She would come over, she would talk English. And I grew up in this environment, okay, where thinking I'm going to end up in bars, I'm going to end up in restaurants, I want to be friendly with people, I want them to come in, spend as much money as possible on drink, all right, you know, that's what I'm looking to do. And then I ended up in this country. We moved over to the UK. And like I said, I think it's really important to learn languages. So before I got to Wales, all right, I was so excited about coming to Wales. You know, I think of all of the incredible actors that have come from Wales, people like Anthony Hopkins and Richard Burton, all right. I moved there before Catherine Zeta-Jones was famous, so that wasn't a thing. I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm going to meet Catherine Zeta-Jones. She didn't exist in my head at that time. But I got there, and I think it's really important to learn a language before you move to a place, or to try, or to even just to say please or thank you. And I think what ingrained that in me is that the amount of British people that would come to Spain and not even bother to learn how to say please or thank you. You know, they'd come over, they just expect everyone to speak English. And I'd be like, it would be difficult for me to try and understand why would they be that way. So before I got to Wales, I learned how to speak Welsh, or as best I could as a child, I learned how to speak Welsh. I got to Pontardawe, and I found out barely any of the bastards speak it, okay? It was a complete waste of my Amser, okay? Amser is Welsh for time, but they don't know that, all right? I learned that word, they don't know what it is. But I learned how to speak it, and Pontardawe itself is a Welsh word which I discovered. Pont means bridge, and Adawe means over a shithole, okay? It's not a delightful place to move to from Mallorca, okay? Beautiful, multicultural Mallorca. I'm kidding. Pontardawe is actually a really nice place. My mother hates that joke, all right? But it always gets a laugh. I'm going to keep telling it. You know what I mean? I've got to keep saying it. It gets a laugh. But the good thing is, I would never tell a joke that I wouldn't otherwise tell to a group of people, all right? For me, comedy is like a language. To me, if I can make someone laugh, for me, when I went to school in Wales, that was the first time I knew I was communicating with someone properly, that, you know, we were fitting in, we were making friends. If I could make them laugh, I was like, right, we've got this communication between one another. And that's sort of how I fell into comedy. And it's something because it's a very friendly thing. And you know, as a kid, I found out British people, one way to ingratiate yourself with British people, one thing you do only with your friends is treat them like absolute shit, all right? You're horrible, horrible people to your friends in the UK. And I had no idea until I came to the UK. I was like, all right, we make fun of one another. That's what we do. And, you know, it's quite an abrasive friendship you have, but it's ingratiating you with one another. And because you're saying we're the same. All right, it doesn't matter where you're from, you're saying we're the same, you know, we're in the same shit, or we live in Pontardawe, all right, we're here, we're trying to make friends or whatever, we'll just make fun, it's all good, all right, but sometimes that can come from different places. I was bullied when I first came to the UK. I was very bullied when I went to Wales. The kids would laugh at me for a number of reasons. I had to learn, not the Welsh language, I had to learn how to do a Welsh accent because they would make fun of the way I sounded. They would make fun of when I was speaking English, if I wouldn't say something correctly, they'd make fun of it. They made fun of the name Ignacio. Right, Ignacio is not a typical name in Wales. All right, when I got to Wales, there were two Ignacios, me and my father. All right, that was it. We were the only Ignacios in Wales. And they used to laugh at me because Ignacio is not an easy name for Welsh people to pronounce. Because in Wales they have much easier names. I mean, you find that funny. They're like, "What are you talking about?" Like that's the kind of totally. They're like, what do you mean? Like, you know, there's some difficult Welsh names out there, okay? They might not be real, but I don't even mean the long ones like Llywelyn or Geraint. I don't mean names like this. The most popular guy's name in Wales, I'm not making this up, the most popular guy's name is an abbreviation of David. It gets turned into Dai, all right? D-A-I, pronounced Dai, all right? That's a nickname they give to people in Wales, abbreviation Dai. I didn't know this when I moved to Wales. I just thought they were really bloody aggressive. Like, how are you doing, mate? I'm Ignacio. Die. Okay. Think I know which way you're going to vote in the referendum when you grow up, mate. All right, you're telling me to die already. What is happening? So I used to get picked on a little bit. I came to the conclusion, I thought my name was Spanish prick, all right? That is what, because kids would call me that in school, they were mean, all right? I'm not talking about my friends who were messing around, pushing each other. I mean complete strangers. The only thing they would see is something different, all right? They would always try and focus on what's different, and people fear what is different. All right, and rather than embracing something that's different and trying to make it a part of yourself or learn about it, people try to push it away. So one thing I've tried to do with my comedy is bring people together by bringing up stuff they might not otherwise talk about, all right? I've come here today. You didn't think you were going to see a Spanish guy come up on stage and talk about Welsh names, all right? You didn't think I'd be teaching you what Ponta Dawe meant in Welsh, all right? You didn't think that was going to happen, but I brought something different to the table because everyone, no matter where they're from, has got something different and interesting to bring to the conversation. And that's what I believe and what I try to espouse with my stand-up comedy. Now, my family traveled from, they've gone all over, all right? I've got a half-German sister born in Berlin because my father really likes sleeping around, all right? That is something I found. I'm not even making that up, all right? That is a very accurate description of my family, how it works, all right? My father had a child before my family. She found me on the internet when I was 18 years of age. Do we all remember MySpace? Okay, we got some old pricks in the audience right now, okay? My audience, okay? We got the millennials in the house, all right? MySpace represent, okay? So my sister found me on MySpace. The only reason she found me is that I have the same name as my father. I'm Ignacio Lopez, all right? Now, look, in Spain, we get two surnames. And I think you do it in Brazil as well. Is that, if Olivia is still here, you do that? You have the two surnames? Yeah? So I get my father's surname comes first. We do paternal first, then maternal. You do it the other way around, is it? Is that correct? Maternal, then paternal? Yes, correct. Yeah, absolutely. So we get father. So my name's Ignacio Lopez, like my father. He's Ignacio Lopez Baena. I'm Ignacio Lopez Magari, all right? I'm the only Ignacio Lopez Magari in the world, I want to point out. As much as the Irish have traveled the world, all right, they never had a child called Ignacio Lopez Magari. So I'm the only one in that respect, Ignacio Lopez Magari. My middle name is Vincent, after my grandfather, Ignacio Vincent Lopez Magari, all right? That is my full name, which the fascinating thing about names as well, they have meanings, all right? So I was named after my father. I got my name from my father. I also got this mustache, okay? I've had this since I was 6 years of age, all right? All Spanish children, pre-puberty, just pops out, hola, okay, that's what we got going on, is the mustache. Doesn't matter where you are. That's another reason the Welsh kids used to pick on me, all right? They were like, who is this kid? Every Halloween, the only thing I could dress up as is Gomez Adams, all right? That's the only thing. Or depending on how much candy I'd eaten at Halloween time, sometimes Pablo Escobar. If I look like sad Pablo Escobar, look like I was smuggling some candy around. So I did, I had my name from my father, and it translated. Ignacio is from the Latin word for fiery. Vincent is from the French, even though my grandfather was Irish. It's from the French for conqueror. Lopez is from the original Old Spanish for wolf, like lobo, wolf. And then Magari just means Magari, all right? That's basically what you got going on there. It means of the clan Magari is what it translates down to. So my name is Fiery Conqueror Wolf Magari. And I used to think that was cool as shit. But that was not, the kids didn't agree with me in school. They used to laugh at me like, your name's too long, all right? You got too many names. I'm like, all right, we're coming. And British people love to abbreviate, but British people abbreviate in completely different way to the Spanish way or Latin people. So in Spain, we abbreviate the end of a name. Does anyone know what's short for Ignacio, by the way? The short. What's that? No, that's what the British would do. They would take the beginning of the way. They'd be like, I'm going to call you Ig, all right? They're going to take the first syllable and maybe chuck on a Y at the end there as well. We call you Iggy. That's what they would call me in Britain. I'd be like, what, like Iggy Pop? And they'd be like, no, that's too cool. Let's think of something else we can call you. But in Spain, we abbreviate the end. So the abbreviation of Ignacio in Spain is Nacho. So people call my father Nacho. That's where nachos come from, by the way. I'm not making that up. It was a guy called Ignacio, created nachos in Mexico in the 70s. A little fact for you now. They used to be called nachos especiales, and they brought it down. Now you just call them nachos. So that's really weird to me when people tell the joke, what do you call cheese that's not your cheese? Have you heard this joke? What do you call cheese that's not your cheese? Nacho cheese, right? And I'd be like, no, that's my name. That's literally, that is my cheese, all right? What are you talking about? It's got my name on it in the fridge. It says Nacho on it. It's my cheese. What are you? So I had this name and I abbreviated it to this, and like I said, try my best to fit in. I'd always make jokes. That's what I'd be doing as a kid, and I'd be telling them interesting stories about my father and stuff. What's strange being coming from a mixed background, mixed race as well. You don't know where necessarily as a kid like certain things have come from. All right, so like I thought hummus was Spanish for a long time. All right, I thought paella was Welsh. I had no idea because like you eat what you eat and you don't know where it's come from necessarily until you grow up. You learn a bit more about it. The kids used to laugh at me for different things. Now I moved to Pontedawe. I don't know what the demographic is of Sheffield. I don't know if it's represented in this room right now, but I moved to Pontedawe, and Pontedawe is by far the whitest place on the planet. All right, and I've been to Norway. Okay, I just want to point that out. I've gigged in Norway. Pontedawe is whiter 100% because in Mallorca we had people from all over. In my dad's restaurant alone, we had people working there who would come up from Africa. With people working there would come down from Scandinavia. South Americans would come over. We had people Portuguese. We had Italians. We had Germans, British people as well. All come to Mallorca. Fun place. All right, it's beautiful. Then I moved to Pontedawe, a place where there were more Indian restaurants than Indian people. All right, I'm not making this up. I swear to you this is true, all right? It's true. It's just, it was one guy. He ran all of the restaurants. He wasn't even Indian. He was just a bit darker than the rest of them. And they were like, ethnic food is your job now, my friend, okay? He said we lived above the Indian restaurant for a long time with my father and stuff. So my mother had a shop. It was next to the Indian restaurant, and we lived above it. Like really cool family, whatever. But like we were you find yourself mixing with like-minded people. All right, you mix. So we'd go to school, me and this guy's kids as well, the other kids, and we'd get picked on or whatever for different reasons. And you connect with one another, and you kind of make a unified team. Against the world, and you grow up and you've got this in your heart and you think like, yeah, we can face the world, we can do it, and we would tell jokes, and that would get us out of trouble a lot of the time because I was very short, okay, my entire life. My family in Spain, they're all really tall, all right, they're all basketball players. I'm 6'1", which isn't short, but I don't think it is. But my family, I'm the shortest member of my family. If I go to Mallorca, I'm the short one. I'm the dwarf Ignacio, and then you got the tall Ignacio, 6'5", my father. He's the short one, his age range. And then they all play basketball. And I came to Wales, and all of a sudden I was like, shit, I'm a giant, all right? That is kind of, after I'd gone back, I went to secondary school in Spain for a while, came over back to the UK. And like I said, my goal was always to fit in as best I could. So we tell jokes to get myself out of trouble. I do it, ingratiate myself with people, and make fun of myself, self-deprecating. Do we all know what this means? Self-deprecating, you take the piss out of yourself before somebody has the opportunity to take the piss out of you. You know, that's what you do. You do it to make yourself feel safe, and they go, oh, right, okay, he's all right. He's okay, I can get along with him. And I'd be there trying to mix with British kids. One thing I wasn't prepared for is how much British people drink, all right? In order to fit in this country, I've had to become an alcoholic. I was not prepared for this whatsoever, right? So that's something, I should have seen it. The warning signs were there when I was out in Spain and people were coming up asking for 2 cervezas, okay, for 2 beers, all right, when there was only one of them, all right? That is when I should have noticed the signs were there, the warning signs were there. But I would travel the world. I would go to different parts of the world and try mix and like I said, learn languages. My mother, she learned Spanish later on in her life. And my parents separated when I was relatively young, but we've always been a good family, like stayed in touch and got together. But I think the main thing that caused my mother to finally say enough about my father and to say like we're not having is when he gave her for her birthday a Spanish dictionary. I think that's not the most romantic of gifts, I don't think. Would you be happy with that if you're like, no, of course you wouldn't. Like, there you go, especially because she'd been speaking Spanish for about 10 years at this point. It's just a bit of an insult, isn't it? You know, you don't do it. We had different things growing up as well. The Welsh kids would have different toys, different references. Like I was big time into Dragon Ball Z. Are you all familiar with Dragon Ball? Cartoon, great series, right? And when I went to Wales, when I first went there, it hadn't even aired in this country yet, right? So it was a big deal since the 80s in Spain. It wasn't even a thing in Wales when I arrived there. But they were into Star Wars, all right? You all familiar with Star Wars? Of course you are. If you haven't heard of Star Wars, where have you been? Right? It's a cultural phenomenon. All right? Those movies, they're still making them. The television shows are getting made. You know, they got merchandise everywhere. The Welsh kids had Star Wars toys. I had the cheap Spanish knockoffs, all right? They would laugh at me. I was in the corner playing with Juan Solo. Laugh at me just like this, it hurts my feelings. Okay, Para, give me a break here, all right? I'm trying my best. I'm opening up to you now, all right? I'd be there with Juan Solo. They'd be like, Ignacio, what are you talking about? It's Han Solo, you idiot. Han Solo. I'd be like, all right, okay. You see, what's that little dustbin-looking thing you've got over there? Ardos Dedos. You don't know Ardos Dedos? We call him Arturo. Beep, boop, boop. You don't know this character? We call him Arturo. They'd be like, no, Ignacio, it's R2-D2. Why is he wearing a sombrero? From the desert, all right? It's hot over there. You know, it needs a sombrero. What are you talking about? Tatooine is not a cold place, all right? You gotta. I say, look, you can't make fun of this one. My favorite one, Don Vader. They look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, Ignacio, why does he have a red cape? I said, he fights bulls, space bulls. Do we see a different movie or something? Like, what's going on? I said, no, Ignacio, idiot. It's not Don Vader. Everyone knows it's Die Vader. Get on board, man. You're in Wales now, all right? It's what we call things, okay? You gotta fit in. But it's fun, you know, there's stuff in different parts of the world, and you've got to mix and you've got to find out what they are. You've got different animals. There's different animals in the UK, all right? I don't know if in Brazil, do they have badgers? I'll tell you what, we don't have badgers in Mallorca, all right? So when I first came to the UK, and there was this animal called the badger, I was like, the Welsh kids would laugh at me because I would just call them zebra dogs, okay? I was like, what are you making up animals for now, right? It doesn't make sense. Wales has got a fictional animal on the flag. They got the dragon on the flag, all right? Now you've got this wind in the willows bullshit running around the countryside as well. Nonsense. Stop making up animals and confusing it for all of us. We did not read Wind in the Willows in Mallorca, all right? But big drinkers in the UK. The UK, different terms as well. In Spain, we do a thing called botellón. Anyone familiar with botellón? We drink in the streets. It's kind of a communal thing. We go out, we meet new people, we empty out drains, we lift off the cover from drains, we fill it with ice. This is in the streets in like Barcelona and Mallorca, whatever, and we fill it up with cans of beer. People just walking past and they just pay like €1 for a beer and we just drink in the streets, all right? I don't know if it's legal, but it's fun, all right? We just do it, it's cool, right? We go out and we drink and it's nice weather. And in the UK, you do a thing called pre-drinks. Are you all familiar with this, pre-drinks? Prinks, yeah, for sure. See, you're making it even more complicated for immigrants, changing the words after you've decided, right? You got pre-drinks, you go, yeah, prinks, okay? And I didn't know what these were. I had to ask my friend is called Dai, by the way, all right? I'm not making him up. I said, Dai, what are prinks? What are pre-drinks? He said, Ignacio, it's great. We drink at home before we go out to go drinking. I said, that is the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. I was like, why would you do this? He said, you know, just to warm up to get ready to go drinking. I said, it doesn't make any sense. You don't do it for anything else, do you? You don't go, we're going to go to cinema, pop a bloody DVD in before we go to cinema. Fire up the old Netflix, stuff our face with popcorn before we go to the Odeon. Is that what we're going to make happen? It doesn't make sense. These are things you don't know until you go to a place, you try and learn it culturally, and you make it happen. Like no British person would know what botellón is because they're too busy going to all-inclusive resorts, all right? You don't go out in the resort, you don't discover these things. I can't wait. I know we're in a very turbulent time right now with COVID. It's very intense. Restrictions are starting to lift. I can't wait. I can't wait till we can go abroad again. I don't know if people are hoping to go visit family abroad like I am. I want to go see my family in Mallorca again. The Dutch did an experiment. Do we have any Dutch people in? The Dutch did an experiment during the pandemic. They sent 200 Dutch people to a Greek island, the Greek island of Rhodes, to see if it was possible to go on holiday during the pandemic, you know, with restrictions and stuff. They sent 200 people, and some of you looking like, where was this in the UK? Like, we didn't. Yeah, it was in the news. They sent 200 Dutch people. It was like a lottery. All of their food was paid for, their drinks, their accommodation, their entertainment. They stayed in this all-inclusive resort on the island of Rhodes. They weren't allowed to leave the all-inclusive resort just in case they were accidentally exposed to some culture. They had to stay in the all-inclusive. That would not have been an issue if it was a British holiday, would it, all right? Have you ever spoken to a British person that left an all-inclusive resort? It's like, what was it like? Oh, it was horrible out there, right? 4 miles we walked until we found a sausage roll, okay? It was unbelievable. But they did this experiment, and it was, they did it, and if anybody contracted COVID while they were in the all-inclusive resort, at the end of it, they had to stay for another 2 weeks in a different all-inclusive resort in quarantine. Where was this policy when I got an STI in Faliraki in 2016? I had to go back to work, all right? Scratching myself, it was horrible. I will say 90% of this is true, by the way. I've never had an STI in Faliraki, I just want to point it out. But I talk, it's funny because I chat about my family, people come up and go, oh, you know, did you make up the German sister? No, I have a German, half Spanish, half German sister, okay, I went to visit her in Berlin. Is it Berlin or Coventry twinned with Sheffield? Is it one way? Is Sheffield in some way linked to, no? I'm just making up shit now, am I? Just trying to find loose connections to this place, all right? Because I don't know it well enough. Fair enough. But it's weird because, you know, I go out to these places and try and connect with people. I've been out to Amsterdam, a bunch of places. You know, anyone been out to Amsterdam? Amsterdam's a cool place, right? It's a beautiful part of the world. They have got a real chip on their shoulder about Venice, though. I swear, if you've been to Amsterdam, you go on like the boat tour in Amsterdam, and you have to go on the boat tour because it's the only way to get away from the cyclists, all right? It is a dangerous city to go visit, Amsterdam. And I was on the boat tour, and the second thing the guy said, the second thing on the boat tour was like, we might not have as many bridges as Venice. I was like, what are you bringing up Venice for, guys? You know, I've paid to come here to Amsterdam. Like, why are you trying to remind me of more beautiful places right now? I don't understand. It's not good for your tourist industry. Like, what's happening? See, we might not have as many bridges as Venice, but we've got more water. Nobody gives a crap about your water, Amsterdam. Unless it's in a bong, I don't want to hear about it, all right? That is what, I don't understand why you're bringing this up. That would be like if you go to Blackpool, and there's just the guy there stood by the tower going, well, it might not be as tall as the Eiffel Tower, but we've got more pigeons, all right? Nobody cares about your pigeons. We don't want to hear it. I know this is being streamed right now. Who is it being streamed to? Are they adults? Yeah, I just want to make sure, because we don't know what part of the world this is going. This could be midday somewhere that someone's watching it, and I could just about to teach some kids some lessons they shouldn't be learning this early on in their life, all right? Now, I just want to tell you a quick story about my mother the first time she met my Spanish grandmother. Like I said, my Spanish grandmother, Mallorca was a beautiful place for a little while, you know, in between fascism and like all-inclusive resorts. It was a beautiful part of the world. And my mother, she went to Mallorca, she met my father, and this is a time when my mom didn't speak much Spanish. And the first time she met my Spanish grandmother, who'd been out in the Moroccan sun for 40 years, right? She fled Franco's regime. She'd been living out in Morocco. Here she is. She's an angry little lady, all right? She's completely, you know, got a mix of French and Spanish as her language. And my mother is there. And my father is going to leave the two of them alone. He has to go to work. He's like, I'm just going to leave you with my mother. And my mother's like terrified. She's like, Ignacio, I don't speak Spanish. Like, what do you expect me to do? He said, Yvonne, it's easy. Like I said earlier, gesticulate, okay? Spanish people, we speak with our hands, all right? Habla con tus manos, all right? Speak with your hands. My mother's like, all right, okay. And I picked up a bit of Spanish, okay? So I think I can get by. So my father leaves the two of them alone. And my mother's there with my Spanish grandmother, and she thinks to say to her, she's going to ask her to go to the beach, right? It's a nice thing to do. My Spanish grandmother, she doesn't walk so well. My mother thinks, I can take her down to the beach. It'll be a nice thing. So she says to her, so you're going to learn a bit of Spanish if you don't speak Spanish. She said, ¿Quieres venir, okay? Would you like to come? ¿Quieres venir a la playa, to the beach? She's thinking, so far, so good. I'm nailing this, all right? She's really happy with herself. ¿Quieres venir a la playa? Con, which means with. My mother doesn't know the word for me, which is migo. It's very easy. Conmigo means with me. My mother does know the word for I, all right? Sir, if I was to say to you right now, would you like to go to the beach with I? You think, well, this is one pretentious motherfucker, but why not? Isn't it? We'll give it a go, right? It's a beautiful day. We're in Mallorca. Let's have a shot, right? So my mother says to her, ¿Quieres venir a la playa? Would you like to come to the beach? Con, with, yo. I. Con, yo, can't. My mother, who's never said this word in English before, is now fluently saying it to a little Spanish lady. She doesn't know what she's done, all right? ¿Quieres venir a la playa? Would you like to come to the beach? Coño, can't, all right? She's looking up at her. She's like, what the fuck did you just say to me, all right? Cannot believe it, all right? My mother's panicking. She's like, why is she looking at me so angry? She looked at the jaw is dropped. She's like, shocked. She's like, can't believe I just said it. She's looking at her. She's thinking, what am I going to do? She does the terrible thing all British people do. If someone doesn't understand you, you say it louder and louder and louder. She just say it like, coño, coño, coño. She's getting louder like some racist vortex just zipping around her head right now. Hurricane of swearing at her, using this drop the C-bomb first time she's met her. My Spanish grandmother looking up at her. She's like, what is going on? My mother thinks, oh shit, habla con tus manos, okay? Speak with your hands. ¿Quieres venir a la playa? Coño! Now she's just got like a racist naked sock puppet swearing at her, right? It's not working. And that's the first time. It's a miracle that I was born, all right? Because my Spanish grandma didn't leap out of the chair and beat my mother to death, all right? That is what happened. And there's a true story about language and learning. And my mother still is ashamed of that story, but it's hilarious, so I'm going to continue to tell it. We find things, we find similarities, okay? We go out, like football is a big similarity as well. I was worried when England were playing Italy in the football for the final of the Euros. I was terrified, all right? Because, British people can't tell the difference between Spanish and Italian. So I did not want to go out that day. I was quite worried about it, if I'm being honest. First job I got in the UK, I worked in an Italian restaurant, all right? I would be correcting everyone's pronunciation of chorizo, okay? They would be all calling it chorizo. I was like, I don't even know why we serve this. It's not Italian, it's Spanish. I was getting frustrated about these things. And it's interesting because the one thing I've learned about traveling the world and meeting people is, and I go on stage and I call town shitholes, right? This is what I do. I go on town, but you need to realize, like, the world is a shithole. Mallorca is a shithole, all right? It is. Everywhere is a shithole. The only thing that's good about any of these places is the people, all right? The good people you meet in these places, all right? And the thing that makes a community and makes it fun is the good people. You've got sunny parts of the world. You've got rainy parts of the world, all right? The UK, horrible weather. Horrible. It rains so much in this country, all right? When I used to go back to Spain and show them my holiday photographs, people thought I'd been on holiday to the 1930s. They're like, why is that photo in black and white, Ignacio? Like, that's the country. It looks like that all of the time, all right? That is not an Instagram filter. That is what we're looking at right now. And I'd be going like back and forth and trying to fit in and learning languages and doing comedy. And I do comedy. Sometimes I annoy people. Sometimes people don't get that I'm joking, all right? Sometimes people don't get I'm trying to ingratiate myself, that I'm making fun of stereotypes about myself and my people. I've had people stand up in shows before and they've said, yeah, if you hate the UK so much, I'm like, I don't hate the UK. I love the UK. I'm here. I'm doing comedy. I'm taking the piss, all right? It's my job. It's part of my visa application, all right? I'm trying my best to fit in right now, right? It's the British thing you do. But like, if you hate the UK so much, and the guy said this to me, he said, why don't you piss off back to Spain? I've had these heckles like this. Why don't you piss off back to Spain? Go do comedy over there. And I had to say, look, man, I don't do comedy in Spain because they don't need cheering up. But these miserable bastards. So yeah, I've got my guitar as well. I'm not purely a musical comedian or a stand-up comedian, but I do a couple of comedy songs. Shall I play a couple tonight? Would you be interested? You want to hear one? Okay, we'll do one. All right, this first song I play for you is about being a barman in Spain and how much we hate British people. Do we have any British people in the audience tonight? Or we're going to be all right? I mean, it's all good. It's all good. So this song was originally by Rihanna. What I've done, I've taken it and made it better. You're welcome. Will they hear this on the stream, the guitar, or should we plug it in? What do you think? It's probably not a DI. Will be okay? I mean, the guitar is not the funny part anyway, so it doesn't really matter if they can hear it at home. You can all hear it, yeah? All right, great. All right, so this song, originally by Rihanna, what I've done, I've taken it and made it better. You're welcome. All right, here we go. They come every year in Union Jack gear and rubbish football shirts, fake tan for all the girls. Local food, they don't mean shit. They'd rather just eat chips, read Hello Magazine, sunburning by the sea. Because when they all come, they come together. They think football songs are clever. Some of them calling me Manuel. That's not my name. You can just go to hell. Now there's more of them than ever. Always complain about the weather. Starting to look a bit like a heifer. Maybe you should cut back on the Stella. Ella, Ella, eh, eh, eh. Cut back on the Stella. Ella, Ella, eh, eh, eh. Don't worry, there's more. Relax, he's coming, right? You ready for this? They troll the bars, trying to pick up chicas, but none are interested because you don't speak Spanish, pero soy español y claro, chicas. They mangle simple words, trying to pick up the birds, but it will never work in gold chains and Ben Sherman shirts. Because when they say beer, they mean cervezas, gracias, not cheers, fella. They want pizza, they said paella. They want pizza, they say paella. Ella, ella, eh, eh, eh. It's pronounced paella, eh, 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 eh. No, if people could just get it bloody right, okay? It's not complicated. Two L's is a Y sound in Spain, all right? Paella, Mallorca, okay, that's what we got. I get lost in Wales a lot. They love sticking two L's together, right? And I have walked around before. I was looking for a place once. I thought it was called Llanelli, all right? Turns out it's called Llanelli. It's a very different pronunciation. Very subtle difference in the pronunciation there. So that was my song. It's interesting because that song, I posted on the internet and it went viral for a long time. And I got a lot of stick, a lot of hatred. And you get a lot, it's funny because it's clearly from a place of love. It's clearly from a silly place, all right? I love British people. Like we worked on holiday for people like coming out to Mallorca. My mom is Welsh, you know. I've been living over here for a long time. I try to explain that people couldn't get that, all right? They try and put you in a different box. And I felt like sometimes like an outsider, okay? The place I felt more comfortable is at comedy, doing comedy, doing jokes, bringing people together that way, because laughter is one of the most unifying things on the world, and all I want to do is make people feel good, all right? That's all I want to do from comedy. I don't want to come up, I don't want someone to leave feeling bad, all right? I checked if there were any Dutch people in the room before I took the piss out of Amsterdam, because I wanted to know if there were, because I wanted them to know I'm not taking the piss out of Amsterdam in a negative way. I love going there, I love visiting it, okay? Not just because of the drugs, all right? It's got a wonderful community there as well, because I don't want anybody to leave and feel bad. And that's one of the difficulties you face being an immigrant, is traveling to a different place and going somewhere where you don't know anyone and you're made to feel like the outsider. And I've written a song about that as well, because it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, at some point in your life, somebody's made you feel like you didn't belong, all right? So this is a song for all of you. Hope you like it. Do you know how hard it is being this good looking? Do you know how hard it is being this good looking? Went out for a walk on a rainy day, caught my reflection in a puddle and I nearly turned gay. Do you know how hard it is being this good looking? That's the whole song, actually. I hope you understand where I'm coming from, right? You're a good-looking audience. It's all right. We're all good. It's fun. This has been great, guys. I really appreciated this. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a prestigious event, and I just come up here and tell a bunch of stupid jokes. I really appreciate you having me here, and I think you're doing a wonderful thing. I want to get one of those immigrant T-shirts too, okay? Because I wear the banner proudly. Are you selling them right now? Have you got some with you? Yeah, I'll follow it. I'll buy one as well. I'll wear it on stage somewhere as well. I actually do have Zebra Dog merchandise, but not with me today. So I sell T-shirts with Zebra Dog in it, but it's a lot. Sure. Ideal. What I'd love to do, actually, if it's possible, is it possible to get the house lights up? Is that okay? look at this. Thank you so much, folks. And can we dim these lights a little bit? I would love to take a selfie, if that's okay. Because I've never played a sold-out audience in Sheffield before, and I really like to show off. So I'm going to take a selfie of these folks before I dart out of you and everything. So look, I know the whole night wasn't a comedy night. I know it's just been like me jumping up here being silly at the end. But, you know, try and look like you fucking enjoyed yourselves, all right? I would appreciate you. Okay with that? All right. On 3, we're going to do the selfie, all right? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to probably cut the audio out because it wasn't the greatest cheer, but you all look wonderful. No, it's all good. Guys, thank you so much for having me. I've been Ignacio Lopez. Take care. Ciao. Gracias.
Huge additional round of applause. Ignacio Lopez, one more time. Thank you so much. Well, that was. I keep forgetting to take this off now. It's just.
Yeah, you can take it off now. It's fine.
Yeah, you can do it up here. Delightful. Thank you so much, Ignacio, for coming and doing that. It was a real pleasure to. We've been wanting to get him up on the Tales Whatever stage for quite a while. It has to be said. And what better time than tonight? That was absolutely perfect. And have you guys had a nice time? I think you look like you've had a nice time. You all look very good. Excellent.
Cool. That's good.
Glad of it. We just do. We're about to. We're not going to keep you. That is the show. Should we do right at the top? Should we do a round of applause for everyone they've seen?
Yes.
Yes. For the whole show. Well, do you want to recap?
So you've seen Zoe, Yvonne, Livia, Ignacio. I've been Lee, and this is Mark.
Thank you very much. What do we need to very quickly tell you in terms of... Oh, and last but by no means least, Migration Matters. Thank you so much.
So we will, if you follow us, Tales of Whatever, at Tales of Whatever on Twitter, we will post links. And also we are _ Tales of Whatever on Instagram. We will
It's the only one that had gone.
I know, it's so frustrating. We will post links to everybody that you've seen tonight and to Livia's page, and then so you'll be able to find the links that she's going to post as well. The only other thing we'd like to mention is that we are back to our regular monthly shows, hopefully, from Thursday the 19th of August. Third Thursday, we're going to be back at our regular home, which is Shakespeare's on Gibraltar Street. We've got a fantastic show. We've got storytellers in the first half, and then in the second half, we have Rob Kemp, who is a fantastic comedian who well known for the Elvis Dead and things like that. But he is doing a work in progress of his new show, which is called Agenda. I won't spoil anything about it, but we're really excited to have it. We were originally going to get it a year ago, and he's come back. We're so excited.
I think his blurb gives away the main theme, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's essentially about him coming out as a transvestite and sort of what that means for sort of masculinity. And the show looks incredible, and he's a fantastic comedian. So you can buy tickets. We've got a Tickets for Good page, but if you follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/talesofwhatever, you'll be able to find the event link.
I mean, the easiest one to remember is talesofwhatever.com, and that's where you will find all the other links to everything else. So,
or you will, but it's not updated at the moment. So.
Oh, I see. Yeah, he was doing that deliberately because, we've been in lockdown, and there hasn't been much to write on the website,
it's not updated yet, so.
Yeah, that'll get done very soon.
Right, go home. It's been lovely to see you.
That's the end.
Night.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Migration Matters. Cheers.